Hey there everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Gavinsky's Tutorials. Today I'm looking at MixBox CS by Aqeel Multimedia, and this is a very cool multi-effects rack type thing. And it's currently on an intro price of $40, which seems a lot for iOS, but this is $300 I think on desktop. And the price is going to go up to $60 soon, but it does include 70 different types of effects, and you have presets that have these all linked together in very interesting and musically pleasing ways. Different presets for bass, delays, drums, guitar, keys, and so on and so on. So it's actually very good value for money, really. Now, even better, I have several copies of this to give away free to subscribers to the channel. It's going to be at least 2 copies, probably 3. I'm still waiting for 100% confirmation from Aqeel about the number. All the details of what you've got to do to win are in the pinned comment at the top of the YouTube comment section. Now, let's just look very, very quickly at the interface as you see it when you use it as an audio unit. And then I'll go through, basically today it's not really going to be much of a tutorial. It's going to be more preset demo. I may come back to this in future videos. I'll certainly be using these effects in future videos. But, there are 70 different effects in this. I'm really not going to go through the knobs for every effect, So what I'm going to do here is look more at the main presets that come for bass, delays, and so on and so on. So this video will give you a very good idea, I think, of whether you like the sound of this or not, and whether it will be useful for you. So we look very quickly at the interface first, and really the most important thing initially is this down at the bottom. So this is where we load our presets, and we just go into one of these subcategories, and we come into all the different bass presets there. So this one's very important. Now, another one that's important is this button down here in the bottom left. So if I press here, you can see that I have an EQ loaded in this channel. And what this will do is let me go through the presets for that particular EQ, this EQ81. So if you have that depressed, that won't be there. Now here, what I can do is I can load other channels, strip effects here, or I can go back out and I can choose something else, an amp or whatever, or I can empty this space. So that's also important. Another thing is that we can drag things around. So let me see here. Is it going to have difficulty doing that with the mouse, maybe? So if you press on something, you can drag it over. Hang on. Okay. So we can move things around. That's really cool. Another important thing is here we have separate wet-dry controls for each effect. Also down here on the bottom right, if we click this, we can come into the back, we can change the overall level of each effect, and we also have solo buttons. And some of the effects you can set up side chaining, as long as your host allows multi-bus instances, which AUM does, for example. Let's see. If we go here, okay, multi-bus audio unit instances, MixBox. So we could load another instrument in here in sidechain. I was trying to get this working earlier. I do know how to sidechain in AUM. Didn't manage to successfully do it yet, probably user error. I might come back and look at that in another video. Okay, let me just take this off. So we're going to go through some of the different presets here. I'm going to start with something on a nice jazzy bass that we've got. I'm using Jazz Session Band 4. So let's close this. And we've already got one loaded here, upright bass. So let's put that on. That's adding a lot, I think. I really, really like that one. That's the best one, I think, on this particular sound. I'm going to let you hear a few more that I think work well with this, and then we'll go on and look at it on another instrument. Unfortunately, we do get some glitching when switching between presets. That is a bit annoying, I must admit. It doesn't always happen so badly, but it does between some of them. You see, that one was fine. So coming back to this upright one, this is one of the great advantages of this as an effect, because here we've got an EQ and a compressor and a convolution reverb, and they've been put together. This preset has been made by experts. So this is something that personally I probably would not have been able to dial in this sound myself as well, I think. So that is really the great advantage of this. Another advantage is that, of course, you can save your own effect chains in this. Now, of course, you could do that in AUM as well. I mean, AUM, for example, has this import feature where we can import channels from another session. Really useful feature, but it's a bit time-consuming. So being able to just have different effects chains saved in this, you could save your presets in AUM, or you can save them in the app itself. I think, anyway. I actually haven't tried to do that yet. You can also export from here. So yeah, that is something very, very useful about the app. In terms of the actual effects themselves, they do sound good. I wouldn't think in every instance they're going to replace all the other solo FX apps that are available for iOS, which is a good thing for other developers, because I think there's been some worry that, this could replace other FX apps and so on that more independent devs are making. For me, definitely not. For example, this has 3 different delays, but there's no way that they would replace, for me, all the other very interesting and unique delays that I have. I must probably have about 20 or 30 different delay apps, and they've all got their own things going for them. So I think the effects in here do sound good, but it's definitely not the end of the be-all and end-all of FX apps. There's still plenty of room for other developers, so don't worry about that. Okay, let's go through and listen to this on some more stuff. Okay, let's listen to some drum sounds. Got drum computer here. This is dry. Okay, so now let's listen to some of the presets in the spaces group. So that's basically reverb. And I'm using the lovely piece that Ian Ruddock recorded for me on his harp. Wolf something or other. What's the name? Wolf something. Yeah, I used this in a video before. I think it's nice to hear the reverbs on a real acoustic instrument, get a nice idea of the quality of the reverbs. Let's try. Just wait a second. Okay, we'll switch over to sound effects. So let's just look quickly in AUM. How do you do this? Well, basically, in AUM, when you click on the effects rack, you get a choice for bus send. And here you can choose something, for example, send to bus A. So that's what I've selected here. And then here, I open up mix bus, receive from bus A. And then I load my effect here. And now it is a send effect. Let's listen. The slicer is pretty cool, by the way. This is one of the interesting effects that comes in this. This loop always needs a second at the end. Now, by the way, if you want to know more about these various things, you can go to IK Multimedia's website. Let's take that down. You can go to their website and go to the page for MixBox and then FX. And here you'll get these lists of everything that's contained. Best of all, when you click on something, you'll get the information about what that vintage gear and so on that is actually emulating. So you can see, we just look here quickly, we can see what we've got. So we've got a bunch of amps. Maybe we'll do the guitar amps and stuff now in a minute. We've got 3 different channel strips, 3 delays, 5 distortions, 7 different dynamics, things, compressors, and so on. Compressors and limiters, 4 EQs, including some pretty famous ones like this one based on the Pultec. A bunch of filters. I really like some of the filter effects. Then a bunch of other things. For example, this AM modulator is a very interesting one. Some of the flangers are great. This envelope flanger is really cool. FM modulator. There's some pretty interesting stuff in here. That slicer, as I mentioned, some of the phasers are pretty nice as well. Then we have these reverbs. 9 different types of reverb. 3 different types of saturation. So you're getting a lot there. Okay, let's move to the next one. So we're going to look now at some synth sounds. For these, I'm using Yuri Turov's synthesizer. This is dry. Mixbox, we're going to put on 8th gates. Love this. Okay, now watch this. So you see, let's just look here. This is something that people ask me about again and again, using LFOs and things like that in AUM. Let's take a little quick look how to modulate things. Now, I want to say, by the way, I feel this is one thing where IK have seriously dropped the ball, because this app would be amazing if you could put in an LFO module into the app, and if you could then use MIDI learn to just very quickly, imagine, for example, you could open an LFO here, and you could just press on whichever LFO you wanted to use, and then press on one of these, and it would just be mapped to that. It would be so amazing, because then you could save all those things right in, you could make your presets with LFOs saved into them. I don't know if there's some technical reason why that's not possible, but I would love to see that added. I'd really love to see that added. Anyway, it's not there, so let's look at how you do it in AUM. So first of all, we go to a MIDI channel, right? So remember, in AUM, and let's just go over here. So in AUM, when you open up a new channel, you have 3 choices. audio, MIDI, or import. So here we've opened up a MIDI channel, and then we just go in and I usually use the search. So I just type, for example, LFO, and then I could use either of these two LFO apps that I've got, MIDI LFOs by Art Kearns or Bramboss Rosetta LFO. I've just opened up Bramboss's one here. So we open that up, and then we go over to the channel that we want to control. So I want to send the LFO to this instance of MixBox. I go to that channel and I look at the name at the bottom of the channel, synthesizer. I click, see if I'm doing that too quickly. So I click on the top left here at this little EQ thing. You can watch this part of the video again if it's too fast for you. I click on MIDI sources and I choose Rosetta LFO as a source. Then I go down through the list and I find MixBox. I go to parameters and I go through and find the slot that I want. So here I'm sending it to slot 2 parameter 1, and I have set it as channel 1 CC13. That is because Rosetta LFO's first LFO uses CC13 and channel 1. So now that's all set up and this LFO is controlling that, and then I can play around with the rate and so on inside here. So yeah, it's a bit weird, you know, because the thing is, different effects get loaded in here, so they can't really give, like for example, here it's controlling filter frequency, but they can't give it the name filter frequency because they don't know, you know, what way you're going to load this and are you going to move things around and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, this is one other reason why it would be so good if there were LFOs contained in the app itself. Would be killer. That's going down a little bit too low, I think. That's a bit better. Anyway, this is not a tutorial on Rosetta LFOs, but I know that this is something that a lot of people do not know very well how to do. I thought it's worth mentioning. And also just want to mention it's great at least that they have exposed all the parameters, even if they're not really all that easy to work with because of the modular nature of the app. All right, let's continue. I quite like some of these ones with the phonograph in them. Pretty nice for lo-fi. Okay, let's move on. Now, it turns out I can actually teach you how to sidechain with this, thanks to world's second best geo shredder from the Audiobus forum, who just came to the rescue there when I asked, what am I doing wrong here? Why is this sidechaining not working? Okay, so it turns out that with this, it actually matters when you load the instances of MixBox, it matters which one you load as a regular instance and which one you add as a multibus instance. So let's say, for example, I have this sound. We're using AU Gen X here. I have this sound and I want to sidechain it using the kick drum of Drum Computer over here. So what I do is in the channel with AU Gen X, I load an instance of MixBox. Okay, so that one will just be a regular instance. So I go to Audio Unit Extension and I choose MixBox. I put it in there. I'll take this one away. And then I can load something, for example, this compressor. See, not all of the effects will have a sidechain functionality. What you need to do is go to the back, and if it has sidechain, you'll see that here. You turn it on. Okay, and then over here in the Drum Computer channel, we click on our icon, and we go down to Multibus Audio Unit Instances, and we choose MixBox. So remember, this one must be loaded not by clicking on Audio Unit Extension. You've got to click on Multibus Instances. And then it'll show you all the different apps that have that ability. So we're going to choose MixBox. Now, I've already chosen MixBox here, so I'm not going to do it again. Okay, so let's you see? And then you can change with the, or you can play with the threshold and ratio and so on in here, the attack and whatever. It's a very hard attack. Okay, anyway, it's not a tutorial on sidechaining, but I'm glad that I found that out in time before I finished making the tutorial. So looking at percussion now, using Ting from Clave Grand. This is very cool. Okay, so we'll listen now to it on a bit of guitar, and I've got another file that Ian Ruddock sent me. I'll try and put his details in the comments section. He's up for collaborations and things like that. He's dry. Okay, let's put on MixBox. Really kicking some life into it there. This one's nice. So you can see this really can be very, very good on guitar. Okay, listening now to some delays on the synthesizer. Okay, let's go and listen to some keys. Okay, so we're on the finishing stretch here. We just listened to some keys and then I'll finish up the tutorial. So just to mention then before I let you hear these, what is the overall impression here? I think there are some really great sounds in here. I think, for example, if you're new to iOS and you're not one of these people who's planning on collecting all the apps, i.e. you're not the total type of addict that people like me are on the Audiobus forum, who just really, so curious about every app that comes out. If you just want to get a decent collection of FX, you could do a lot worse for sure than spend $40 on this. If you're the sort of person who has self-control, it could save you a lot of money in the long run. But like I say, there are effects coming out all the time. They all have their own unique qualities. And certainly I'm going to be continuing to collect other stuff. But there are some very cool things about this. And I do really, really like the way that we can save our custom chains and the way we can move things around. It's just extremely easy. So, okay, let's have a listen to the keys here. And don't forget, everybody, please do give this video a thumbs up if you found it useful. And subscribe as well if you haven't subscribed already. I usually have offers, giveaways for subscribers, and so on. So if you click that notification bell as well, you're going to get notified when new videos come out, so you won't miss out on the chance to win free copies of apps in the future as well. And thanks again to Aqeel Multimedia for providing the codes. It's very generous to give 3 really, because it's not a cheap app, so I'm happy about that. All right, let's have a listen here. So what we've got here is good old piano motifs. Now, usually I slather piano motifs in reverb. I find with piano motifs, the key is you have got to play things slowly. You play tracks fast, to my ear, they often don't sound very good. I like playing them slowly and with a lot of reverb. Here I don't have reverb on because some of these things have reverb on them anyway. I do dislike that noise that you get sometimes between presets. I hope that's something that could be improved. Okay, so I think we've gone through quite a lot there. And I mean, like I said, I haven't even touched on any of the actual single effects. There's just too much here. Really can't go through all of those 70 different effects individually. But I hope by now you've got a good idea of how to use this. You also know how to sidechain an AUM if you didn't know that already, and how to control this with an LFO, how to get into the MIDI parameters. Again, go back and watch that part of the video again if you didn't catch it first time around, if you're not familiar with that. Usually those things you need to take a look a couple of times because it's a bit fast explaining in a video for people to follow maybe. All right, everyone, thank you, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Good luck.